Hi, guys. Welcome to the 200th episode of Touched by Prayer. Can you actually believe that there have been 200 episodes of 200 different just people who have been on? Well, I shouldn't say 200 because some people have come on a bunch of times, including my guests. My guests have all been on multiple times because that is just how awesome they are. So I am going to start to bring them up one at a time, and we're going to start having some fun. We're going to reflect a little bit on how Touched by Prayer started and where it's going. And with these guys, you just don't know what's going to happen. So hold on to your seats because it's going to be a wild ride. So first, I'm going to introduce you to Jeremy Mangerchine. Jeremy is the first person that the Lord told me to friend request. And so Jeremy and I have been friends since 2014. Can you believe that, Jeremy?
Wow.
Since 2014.
Time flies.
I know. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So so the first time that I met you, talked about, well, what happened is I actually saw your book, The Longest Bridge Across Water, was being endorsed by Jonathan Welton. So what happened is I heard the Lord say, friend request him. And I said, okay. So I did. Then I wanted to read the book because the book was very intriguing. I was like, I'd like to read this book. But I had a bunch of books that I haven't read. And I was like, dude, I am not going to buy another book that's just going to sit on my shelf. So I said, Lord, I want to read the book. I said, but I just have so many books. And then you so generously put it on Kindle for $1. And I'm like, oh, I'll spend $1. It was the best dollar I've ever spent because it is one of my favorite books. It truly is one of my favorite books. It touched me. It was so good. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have somebody who has been having some of the same experiences. And we talked for, I don't know, like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And we just instantly bonded. And you have just been such a treasure in my life.
Wow, Lisa, that's exciting.
What do you want to talk about and share with everybody here on Touched by Prayer?
Well, I'm really excited. It's pretty crazy, and it's pretty profound to think 200 episodes. I mean, that's a lot. And I've had the honor, as you just mentioned, of being in friendship with you for most of that time. And it was really cool as I was getting to know you to hear you talk about the vision that God had given you. And instantly in meeting you, it's pretty apparent that you are gifted, extremely gifted as a communicator, as a moderator, as a prophetess, and using all these different mediums to speak what God has put on your heart. And so kind of walking through life with you, both through the show and then behind the scenes, has really been a fun ride. And it's fun to look back and see where you've come from and what you've accomplished. And it's really, really exciting to dream about and think about where this thing's headed and where you're headed and all the cool things that God has in store for you.
Yeah, he has been so good, and he has just blessed me with such incredible people. And Jeremy, just the first book that you wrote, The Longest Bridge Across Water, was just like the beginning of your writing, because after that came many more books, and then of course your art is just blowing up. I mean, it's in galleries, and there's something so beautiful about what Touched by Prayer has done, and that really has brought fellowship, but it's also given us a chance to kind of do life together, that
Right.
We can support each other, we can kind of go to each other, we can encourage each other, we can pray for each other. And it's been this vehicle that has brought so many blessings, like you and Tyler and Jesse and Michael and of course Dave. I mean, and not to mention so many others. But I think that's the big thing, is that we're all connected through this silly, silly little show. and
Y-
because of you, actually, you connected me with so many other people.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, and I don't even remember it that way. I believe you that that's true, but one thing that I believe that God's doing in the world today, well, and I believe He's always it's His desire. Well, hey Rachel, thank you. It's kind of cool. We can see comments here, so thank
Mm-hmm.
you for that comment. But no, one of the God's desire is family, right? So God, Father, Son, and Spirit is community and unity and family, and so He's been working for thousands of years now to put together a family, and I think now more than ever, you're seeing it come into fruition, and there's a whole lot of mojo, so to speak, on people coming together in true friendship, whether it's in your direct community, like people here in New Orleans with me, or people through technology. Like Jesse and Tyler and I have friendships that we've nurtured over the years virtually, and then seeing each other in person. And the same with you. Um, and I see what you're doing here as a true picture of that, because you're not just having people on a show. What you're doing is you're making friends with people, and this network is growing, a network of friends in different places, and it's really cool to see what God's doing with that. And I do think it's a depiction and a reality of what God's doing on the earth today, and you're at the you're kind of at the forefront of that.
Oh, oh, thank you. Um, my husband just brought me water. See, you
Nice.
have to have somebody behind the scenes who takes care of you.
Wait,
But
hello.
and and I think that is I think what you said is so true. Is God is really looking for families. He's looking for people call it tribes. They call it all these different things. But that is really what I have been so blessed with, is because I've often referred to myself as bubblegum, that I get on people's shoe that you just kind of can't take off. so,
Yeah, yeah.
so
Well. See, the problem with tribes, and I hate that word anymore, because tribes, what they do is they differentiate themselves and distinguish themselves and compete with others, right? So tribes gather together to protect themselves from the enemy, and have community. See, what we're doing is we are not being tribal. We're being, we gather, and so we connect on things that we have in common, but also um, we're coming together as a collective, as a whole. So all of our tribes are one big unit, and so yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
yes, absolutely. And I think that's like one of the things that I really have just really appreciated about you, and how intentional you are with your relationships, that you pour into people. You're a mentor, and you have poured into me in so many ways. And like I said before, you really connected me with so many different people. And so I'm going to bring in some more people. I'm going to bring up Mike Fram, because I'm trying to bring the people in who are also somebody who has been here since the beginning, which has been
Nice.
so crazy.
Yeah.
And and Michael did he did like I think 2 shows with me or 3 shows with me. I just alone in 2014. And that's like the crazy part, is like when I was starting to put this show together, I started to see like when people were coming in, when I met them, when I connected with them. And it was really surprising to see that some of these were such long lasting relationships. So it was really cool. So Michael Fram,
Hey, hey.
why don't you share a little bit about Touched by Prayer?
Well, I first got acquainted with you and with Touch by Prayer because somebody that was a mutual friend of ours happened to be a guest on your show. And I watched the show because he was on, and I started making some comments. And you had reached out to him and asked, I guess, kind of like who I was, and then found out we had other mutual friends. And you had said to him, I wonder, maybe he might be a good guest for, for my show. And he said he would be a great guest for your show. And so you had reached out to me, and And I remember coming to your house to do the first one back in 2014. And from the moment I walked through your front door and got mauled by Elvis, we were we were instantly family and instantly friends. And I knew the first time I walked through your door and your dog mauled me and you hugged me hello, I knew it was a long-term relationship from day one. I knew that we were going to be part of each other's lives. And it has been an absolute joy for me to watch you blossom and develop, to watch your gifts grow and develop, to hold your hand through a lot of stuff. And we all go through stuff, we all go through process, and it's not always fun. And sometimes to have somebody that's been through it a time or two is a big help. And I've had the joy to kind of walk through some of the process with you and help you through some of the process. And I am absolutely excited to see what comes next for you, because I know there's other things on the horizon. You and I have talked privately about a lot of them. I know where you're going. I know what's ahead of you within the next probably 6 months or so. And I'm looking forward to that, and I can't wait for that day.
Well, I'm excited, and God has just been so faithful. And you came in, you talked about the prophetic, and you talked about all these things, and you just started to bring in this whole new thing. Jeremy's like cracking up at something Tyler's probably saying. So I have to separate their desks. I'm just saying. All right, Tyler. Tyler! I love you, Tyler. I think that I have just had the honor. First of all, I've had the honor of meeting every single one of you guys in person. I have gotten hugs from know you. When you've come to minister, you've ministered a couple times here in New Jersey, and I went out to Pennsylvania. So it has just been awesome. So, and I've known you, Tyler. I've known you since 2014, which shocked me because I didn't think that was possible, but you were here from the beginning.
Love you.
I love you too. So, all right. So tell me, what did you think when you had a crazy woman from New Jersey who contacted you and said, hey, come and be on my show?
Forget about it.
You came at the recommendation of Jeremy.
Yeah.
And you just got on the phone and immediately began to just speak true prophecy, like encouraging, the edifying, the comforting, right? I just loved you from the get-go. I knew that you were safe, and I so appreciate your heart. So that was great.
Well, and so the funny thing is that I got your book about crazy adventures at Walmart. I believe I'm blanking on the name, but and I was reading it, and it was so funny because it wasn't until I had you on my show that I went, oh, wait a second, that's the book. That's the book I'm reading, you know? And it was so funny because I've been at that point in my life, I was starting to go and pray over people in crazy to a smic prayer.
That's awesome. Come on.
Yeah. So, but like everything that we've done, and you have spoken into my life in so many great ways. I mean, you have there was the first time that I met you was actually at Susan Storm's house, and you were there, and I was so excited to meet you. And I drove from New Jersey. It was, I think, 3.5 hours to come and see you, but I was so excited. But I truly didn't understand the awesomeness of Tyler until I got to hear you speak, and your heart, and just how intentional you are with everything that you say. And you just blessed my socks off.
You're easy to love.
Well, you're very sweet, but it was really interesting to to be able to meet, because like I think you and Jesse, which I'm bringing up next, you, Jesse, and Jeremy have been friends for quite a while. Hello, Jesse Birkey.
Hey, fellas and Lisa, how's it going?
This is where it's going to get a little crazy. This is where I'm going to have to separate desks.
Lisa, congratulations on the 200th show. That is amazing, incredible. You're inspiring. You're amazing.
Well, thank you. And because of you, I also have gotten connected with people from when you were doing Vim, and I also got to meet both you and Kara. I got to spend the night in their house. Seriously, they did. They let me sleep in their house, in their kid. It's like a big risk. My husband, I said to my husband, I said, I'm going to go and I am going to stay at the Birkeys. And my husband goes, are you sure about that? I'm like, I said, I think so. And he goes, well, I mean, you just kind of met them on like through, Facebook. Like, is it safe? And I said, yeah, I think so.
It's safe.
And,
I don't know. I mean, that might be a good time to make sure you have a moderator for Kara in the comment section.
She's already commenting. So.
I know, she's being a blabbermouth over there.
But that's the whole thing. It's that, like, doing life with you and Kara, and of course Jeremy, I got to actually minister with both her and you in New Orleans. I haven't met Christine yet, Tyler, but I'm looking forward to that day. I'm really looking forward to meeting with her, because she's just a pure slice of heaven. Like, I know there's going to be instant connection. So, and that's the beautiful thing about Touched by Prayer, is we have touched each other's lives because we've all prayed for each other, right? Yep. I know that you guys have all prayed for me. You guys have all prophesied over me. You have all blessed me. Michael Fram has also prayed over me and prophesied over me, and then knocked me down, and then helped me get back up, and then knocked me down again. So, but that is the one thing about what this show has done, is it's really given me this. It has really brought just incredible people that I would not have been able to be a part of if it weren't for Facebook. So now, how did you guys meet? Because you guys have a whole story.
Well,
I was actually trying to
knew each other. Go ahead, Rush Limbaugh.
Okay.
Jeremy, I was actually surprised, Jeremy. I always thought that your last name was pronounced Mangerchine.
No, it's Mangerchine. Right? No, it's Mangerchine, and it's Christmas time. No,
okay, got it.
It's Mangerchine.
I better write. You need to write that down for me phonetically. I don't know if I can get that.
It's like Charlie Sheen, except it's Mangerchine.
Copy.
You see, is that so? You guys at one point were going to put together a conference in Orleans.
Well, Tyler and Jesse knew each other. They did Dead Razor. They're movie stars.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. They are.
I met them. They toured the globe.
Totally.
And so I got pulled into the fold by Tyler. I was introduced by Tyler by a good friend named Keith Stone here in New Orleans.
Oh, that's right.
And he's like, you need to meet Tyler. So Tyler and I talked on the phone, and we pretty much were fast friends.
People were trying to set us up like we were boy and girl, man. I'm telling you.
Well, they were right. They recognized the chemistry.
It's totally right.
That's so funny.
And then Tyler introduced Jesse and I at some point. Can't remember how long after that was.
Well, because I think that I'm trying to think. I went to New Orleans in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you guys were going to do a conference in 2015, because I was like, oh, you're doing a conference? I am so coming. So, and So my girlfriend, for a gift, she got me tickets, and she booked a hotel for us to come to New Orleans and to come and hang out. And so, but you guys, there was like lots of problems with trying to book, and New Orleans is kind of hard to get a place.
Sure.
But I still was able to come, and I was able to meet you. And so I think it's really interesting that, like, each of you, because I've three little boys like getting together and just like playing with the gifts of the Spirit, and just also and also just, you know, being silly and awesome. So so what are you guys thinking about possibly doing a conference? Hint hint, keeping my fingers crossed, saying prayers, and if I have to go into the Spirit, I'll go to the throne room for you. I'll go to the throne room and pull on Daddy's robe for a while. Come on, that would be an awesome conference.
Jeremy committed to coming to the Northwest.
I'll come to the Northwest. I'll so come to the Northwest.
He's speaking lies, Lisa. Wonderful podcast. This is a beautiful podcast, and he's making things up.
Man.
Well, you see, Tyler is like, it's hard to stand next to Tyler because he sucks all the energy and life out of everything because he's so powerful and gifted as a speaker. You know?
Yeah.
You know? Speaking of somebody, talking about somebody operating in their gifting, I'll tell you what, you know, we were friends for a while, and I met him over in Houston at a conference and saw him speak for the first time after we were already friends. And man, I remember walking away and saying, dude, if there's anybody created for this, it's you. So it's nice seeing that.
You guys are so encouraging.
Hey,
it's the truth. Can I say something really quick, Lisa?
Sure.
Because I'm not sure how long I've got. I just found out my wife is on call and she got called in. I wanted to say this is on my heart while you were talking. I know I'm kind of changing the subject a tiny bit, but like, you know, you're talking about how we all met and how we got connected with you and stuff. And like, I don't want to speak for these guys, but I'm going to. Just say, I totally appreciate you. We appreciate you. And like, you know, I don't know if there's, you know, you're at 200 episodes. This show has been a total success. We're all very proud of you. And regardless of what happens with Touched by Prayer in the future, I just want you to know that you have a confidant in the three of us. You have advocates in the three of us, and that like our relationship with you obviously isn't limited to just ministry or Touched by Prayer, that we love you and that like we're in your corner thick and thin, regardless of what you decide to do or don't do in life. We're with you and we're for you and we love you. Like we're here doing this right now, not even because of Touched by Prayer, but because of you, because we love you.
Aww.
And so we're for you 100%.
Thank you.
He did speak for us, but I concur 100%. And in addition to that, I'll speak for the two of them as well, and all three of us, is that in addition to us loving you and believing in you, which is so easy to believe in you, it just is. But you also have believed in us, and you've encouraged us, and you have walked through life with us and spoken into our lives, and at high points and at low points. And that's been paramount, I know, for all three of us, and we appreciate you for doing that, and know you're going to continue to do that, and we're thankful for that.
Oh, well, I love you guys, and I know, Tyler, that you know you have some kids that you might have to go and corral.
Mine walked in here. Did y'all see mine walking in here?
No, but I did hear them, and that is the beauty part of Touched by Prayer, because it is real. It is real life. It is not staged. It is real. I mean, there were times that the dog has barked. I've had kids cry. I had my kids making food that I had to, tell them, I'm on a show where you kind of stop, but that's part of the beauty of Touched by Prayer. So, right. Because it's real life. It's about real life and real situations and stories, and just seeing how God can move through people, through circumstances to to bring his love, to bring his light into sometimes some of the questions that we have about like what we're supposed to do. And that's like you guys, and actually all 5 of you have just really been such an encouragement in even pursuing Touched by Prayer and to push it beyond whatever it's going to be, or whatever God has called it to become, you know? So, but yeah, it's fun.
It's funny that you said that, Lisa. Even as you said that, the Holy Spirit just kept saying that this is the training ground. So the word training ground, I kept hearing it over and over and over again. And, you know, sometimes when you're not even listening for a word and a word hits you, I think that there's something to that. And these 200 episodes are valuable. And it's cool because it's content that's going to stay there and it's going to be there. And people are going to be able to go back and revisit it and be blessed by it for years and years and years and years to come. And that's a good thing. But it's also really cool knowing that this has been your training grounds and that you've been developing and growing as a host and as a leader. And God's looking at you and saying, well done. Well done. You've done well. Let's bring on some new stuff too. So that's a good thing.
Jeremy.
What's that?
That's funny you say that because like I don't want to put Lisa on the spot publicly right now here.
Oh, but go ahead.
Yes,
ahead.
you do. Yes, you do.
But like, you know, I just can't help it. I'm like, I'm not saying Touched by Prayer is continuing or discontinuing. I'm not making a comment about that. I just feel like there's even more that God wants to do with you. And I feel like you might know hints of what that is. And I'm wondering if you're able to verbalize that at all. Even if it's not something concrete, but something just from your heart. Like, what are you wanting to do? What's the thing God has for you? What's going on?
Well, he definitely...
Tell us about your passion.
My passion is to introduce people to Daddy. That's my passion. That is my passion. And I want to go out. I actually have an idea for a reality TV show where I go and do crazy things, but I bring the Holy Spirit with me. And we just like bless people and encounter people, prophesy over people, heal people, change their life, show them that God is real. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I would go to a tattoo parlor, for goodness sakes, and go and like pray over somebody or prophesy. I know. Hey, I'm going to get a tattoo, Jeremy.
Are you?
I'm getting I'm getting a tattoo with my daughter. Yeah.
Is it a Jesus fish?
It's not. It is actually going to say here. It's going to say here I am. And I'm going to do I am in Hebrew. Send me.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So, and she's getting the same thing.
Where's that from? Because I know I got God blasted me when Samuel said that when God was awakening him. He said, you know, God called him Samuel, and he said, "Here I am, God." Is that where that's from, or is it from?
No, it's actually from Isaiah.
Isaiah, that's right.
It says, "Who will go?"
Yeah.
Oh, and he says, here I am."
He said, "Here I am, send me." Yeah.
Gotcha.
But what I was saying, because my daughter found it. I didn't find the verse. My daughter found it. And she said, "What do you think of this?" And I said, "Oh, you kidding me?" I said, "Yeah, I would totally do that." But one of the things that I kept seeing I am in a very different format. I kept seeing I am. And I was like, so it's like, here, I am, send me. It was cool. It was very, very different. And what God started to, what he reminded me is the first time that when he introduced himself to me, he introduced himself as I am. And so when it first happened, I'm hearing, I am. And so my head is spinning and I'm like, it's God, it's Jesus, it's God, it's Jesus. I wasn't quite sure, but I was like, but I knew, like, I knew, like, I wasn't sure what part of God it was, but I knew it was God. And so when I hear I am, it wrecks me. So, but yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. And I just, one of the things that God said to me, and this might kind of answer your question, Tyler, is that I was watching the 700 Club, and the woman was talking about how they just finished doing this interview with this woman who was cutting herself. And this woman is the older woman on the 700 Club. And she's like, are you cutting yourself? Well, Jesus loves you. And I thought, and I said, I'm not trying to be snarky. I'm really not. But this is how she sounded. And I was like, oh, honey. I said, anybody who's cutting themselves is not listening to you. And that's when I heard the Lord say, that's why I'm sending you.
Come on.
So whatever God has planned, I know it's supposed to be in communications. So
that's good, Lisa. I think however he has you do that. Can I give you a word? I feel like
absolutely.
I feel like however he does that with you. How do I say this? Jeremy, you can help me once you get the Bible what I'm saying. Jesse, you can help me too. I feel like, all right, hear me out. I feel like in order to reach those kinds of people, the people that you have a heart for, like, because you can do church and you can do Christianity and all that, but you're made for more than that. And you are free enough and full of God's love enough to be able to be sent out to the broken, the highways and the byways and all that stuff. And like, I just feel like God's going to have you tap into like really raw and authentic parts of yourself and put them on display in a way that may even be uncomfortable for church people at points. I feel like the person, I feel like he's just going to put your authenticity on display, and he's going to put a very unreligious part of you on display. You carry so much freedom, and I feel like a lot of times people in church, they kind of are held and restricted by those unspoken boundaries and restrictions and stuff. It's that religious thing, and I just feel like when you're doing this, there's going to be a freedom to be 100% you, and it's going to
which is a sassy person.
Yeah, come on, that's right. And that's part of what we love about you.
Yes, it's great.
If not our favorite thing, and like, it's not religious. That part of you is not in any way religious. It's totally real and authentic, and the lost are drawn to that. Like, I've learned with evangelism, the more I can just be Tyler, with like no holds barred, just unkempt, not trying to like watch my words or anything, just being me, the more they're drawn to me because Jesus is on display. Like, religious people get offended by it. They don't like that about me. It's like, they don't like it. But the lost get drawn to it because they can feel how genuine it is. And I feel like whatever medium you function through in the future, I feel like that's going to be an aspect of it. It's going to be really, really free, really, really real. And it's gonna have flavor.
I love that. I receive that. I like that. I like to be a little bit of flavor.
Flavor.
Little bit of spice, little flavor flav. All right. I see that there's somebody who actually joined the show. He's just not in his chair, but I think there's a medic in the house. Just saying. he's just currently not in the chair, but we're gonna start to bring him up. But thank you so much, Tyler. Thank you for that word. That was beautiful, and I so received that. And my heart is to be. I just want people to see Jesus in me. That's all. It really has nothing to do with, and that's one of the things that I try to really tell people. It's like, I'm not special. I'm just obedient. That's it. Like, there's nothing special about me. God would use people just as easily as he would use me. It's just that when he tells you to do something, you just got to do it. So, but I do appreciate that word, and I take that very much to heart. That one, and then you also gave me a word that I was going to look young. So I was like, thumbs up on that.
Embodying that one, so you're good.
So but yeah, so it's going to be fun. And I don't know, like I said, wherever God is, whatever God is doing, whatever he is wanting me to do, because like, you know, Jeremy, you and I have talked about that God wants to do a book, wants me to do a book, and it's just been really hard. That's like when you talk about like stepping out of when you start stepping out of your comfort zone, because I'm very comfortable speaking, but writing, that's where the rawness comes. That's where the realness comes. That's where it's scary.
Yeah, but you're a talented writer. I mean, your blogs and everything that you've written is very well done.
Well, thank you.
So I think it flows through you a little bit better than you give yourself credit for.
That's good.
Well, I sometimes think that I'm just a really good like secretary, and God just tells me what to write, and I just like write. I just write it down.
Well, that's what writing is, right?
Yeah. That's pretty much what it is, and so it's been. But I think that's going to be something I'm going to.
Oh, so you're a good writer.
Okay, you know, Dave did that to me. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know you were a writer," and I was like, "Oh, well, you know, I kind of been blogging." He goes, "Oh yeah, I didn't know you were a writer," and he must have said it like 4 times until I kind of got what he was trying to say. It's like, duh, you can write. Like he just really wanted to kind of get it into my head, because I wasn't. I just, that's like I said, it's like that's something that's really kind of raw for me. You know?
Yeah, well, I remember the first blog of yours I wrote. I mean, I'd known you for a while. I'd known that you were very well spoken. You're a very good speaker. And then when I read the first blog, that's what I thought. I was like, wow, she's a talented writer.
Oh, well, thank you. He's good. He's good. So, Tyler, whatever you got to bolt, you just give me that thumbs up, and I will.
We'll see.
Yeah,
he's gonna hop in that boat and take off.
That's it. And so I'm just gonna say that what I kind of feel that God really wants to do, like one of the things that I really have always felt about Touched by Prayer is that He always wants to show His relationship with each individual. So let me ask you guys a question, because I know you, besides being on the show, you've also have watched certain episodes of the show. I'm not saying you watched all of them, but you have watched some of them. What were some of the what were some of the special ones that you saw, or that you really enjoyed learning about or hearing like a person's perspective of?
Go ahead, boys.
And now I got crickets.
I appreciate the common thread through all of them is the sincerity of your heart, and the way that you wrestle with things, and the way that you bring out the things that we're wrestling with ourselves, and help us to see something new about ourselves, and how the revelation of God that is just incredible. And all the ones that I've listened to, that has been the common thread through them. I appreciate the ones that you did with Dave, and I missed the ones that you did with Gall, James Gall. Right, I haven't watched that one yet, but just listening to one of them, really, it's just easy to. I have listened to more than one. Don't get me wrong, but it's easy to just feel like we're part of your lives, and we're part of your life. And I was actually trying to remember how I first met you. And I was like, it feels like you've just always been there. I was really just having a hard time figuring out or remembering when it was that I first met you. I mean, you said earlier that you've been here in our home, and so we've gotten to experience and to interact with you face to face, and that was amazing. And the way that you've poured into our lives here at different points was just really what we needed in the moments. And just to be able to walk life with you, and to feel like you're a safe person to do that with, it's been cherished. You know, you have been cherished, and that's what I hear in the episodes of Touched by Prayer. You have just an amazing way to cherish and adore the people that you bring on, and it's incredible.
Oh, well, thank you. I think that's Kara concurs.
Personally, I'm biased, but my favorites are the ones that you do with my friends.
Yes.
And it's because you get revelation from all different kinds of people, and that's beautiful, and I like that. But just for me, it keeps coming back to family. Seeing this family of friends and the people that I know that you connect with everyone, but there's some people that you have a deeper like friendship outside the show with, and those ones that I happen to know a handful of those. It just warms my heart because I see what God's doing, and then I see when you bring that into the show, it's bringing other people into that, and they're experiencing it, even if it's virtual, even if they're in Canada or Africa or wherever, they are entering into that experience with you and Tyler and you and Jesse and you and Dave and and so that's what I enjoy the most.
Absolutely. And I think that's always been my heart, is to let people in. It's almost like Jenny Wilcox always says she wants to be like that fly on the wall when they're having a conversation, and so that's what we're always trying to do. So, but it has been quite the ride. I will say that, so I'm going to bring up Michael Fram. So Tyler, I'm going to let you go, but if I see you back in the chair, I'll bring you back up.
Love it.
Okay. Love you. All right. So we're just going to bring up Michael Fram, and then we have David Joseph in the house. That's right. Praying medic. So Michael, here we are. We're just going to bring you back up because you've been sitting so patiently.
That's okay.
I think Dave went to go and eat. That's what I'm thinking. But
is there just an empty chair there?
Yeah.
No, it's like we were talking about earlier. We don't get to see his face. He still has to remain a mystery.
I know.
You should put the empty chair there.
I could. Here, hold on. I'll do that. Ready? Hold on. I'm gonna do that. Hold on. There we go. Oh wait. Hold on a second. I'm gonna have to pull you down. Hold on, Jeremy. Let me pull you down, and then let's pull you down, and we're gonna put up Dave's chair. Okay. So I'm only gonna leave it up for a few seconds. Okay. So if he starts to talk,
go ahead. Ask your hardest questions.
Ask the question, right?
Fire away.
So okay. So now the other thing that's kind of happened that I've noticed with Touch by Prayer is like there are people who have, through Touch by Prayer, because one of the things that God has kind of shown me about Touch by Prayer is it's sometimes a place where we can pull and show people's like some of the things that they've wanted to do, because the Holy Spirit really leads the show. So I don't ever like write questions. I don't have questions, and I know I've shared that with some people, but like I don't have like a list of questions. And Michael's been with me, although when Michael does a show, I just kind of sit back and let him go. Because he has things, and the Holy Spirit hits him, and it's like, well, I'm just not going to stop that freight train from going. Let him just plow away and do what he has to do. So Michael, what have you seen some changes in Touch by Prayer since you first have met me? We'll put it that way.
I've seen a lot of changes in Touch by Prayer from the first show that I did with you some 4 years or 4+ years ago. In the very beginning, you were like it was almost like a mini 700 club or a mini, Praise the Lord program. You were doing your best Christian Merv Griffin impression, I think, trying to, interview people and facilitate conversation and pull things out of them. And as you've progressed as an interviewer, you've gotten much more adept to yielding to the Holy Spirit. And in some of the shows where I've actually Thank you, Mama Karen. You're so sweet. I love you. You know, sitting across from you in your dining room table, you know, the focus would be on me while I'm talking, and I'm watching you, and the whole time you're like, you know, under your breath, and you're praying in the Spirit the whole time. You were just so sensitive to Holy Spirit. And it became more about ministry than it did about interviewing people. Where in the beginning, I think it was more about interviewing people and getting your audience to meet real life people and encounter through their experiences. But as you've grown and as the show has progressed, it's become about this is really a platform for ministry. And this is a platform for Holy Spirit to begin to minister to people. And I've told you this privately, but it's like you throw softballs up over the plate and allow us to tee up and swing for the fences. You're throwing that hanging curveball that's real easy to smack. And then you just kind of back off and let somebody go on a 5, 10-minute, 15-minute, whatever it is, rant by the Holy Spirit. But it's in those rants that, you know, revelation begins to come out and impartation begins to come out. And now I'm watching where you're beginning to step over into that yourself. And I'm seeing for you as your progression, and like Tyler was saying, I don't know exactly where Touched by Prayer is going, and I don't know where you're going, but I do know that you're going to have to be more than an interviewer. There's ministry inside of you that's got to come out of you. There's gifting inside of you that's got to come out of you. And so there's going to have to be some sort of tweaking coming down the road, whether it's through this program or through another program or whatever else God leads you to do, because you're beginning to flow. And you could really see it in the show that you did last week when you had Lila interview you, which was a nice twist. And even though I've known you for 4 years and we talk regularly, I learned things about you that I didn't know, because you really got to open up and show who you are. And I think a lot of your audience doesn't even know who you are. And you've not really exposed what's in you. Your heart has been exposed. Your compassion has been exposed. But it's almost like the world is saying, well, the real Lisa Perna, please stand up. And the world is waiting for the real Lisa Perna to stand up and kind of come out from behind I'm the interviewer to I'm the one who's really got something to say and something to impart and something to release. And that's been a metamorphosis over the last 4 years of this show, and your personal metamorphosis. And there's just more ahead for you. And I'm excited to see it. And I just want to encourage you to be bold, to keep pressing the envelope of your own personal boundaries and your own limitations. Because right now, the only thing or the only one that's holding you back is you.
So I'll say it this way. Boom, drops the mic. Well, I think that's one of the things that God has been kind of talking to me about. And I think it's kind of like, Jess, you totally get this, because having, now you have a podcast, you've done Vim, sometimes, because we want to engage, but yet sometimes there's stuff that we want to say too. It's like, so you just kind of have to sit and just kind of wait until the Holy Spirit just kind of gives you that unction to kind of step out and to release what's inside of you. Right?
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I've learned a lot by trying to force things into reality myself, that I can be a very zealous person, and if I don't take a step down and just relax a little bit, and when I get what I consider to be a fresh breath of revelation, I can take that out to people who aren't really ready for that, and it can do a lot of damage. And so I've had to learn a lot that just because God is revealing something to me doesn't mean that the timing is now for it to be released on a larger scale. And I've lost some relationships because I shared and processed out loud, and I've saved some relationships because I learned that was not always appropriate. And so in waiting and trying to discern the times, the different mediums that God has led us into to release some of that have changed, and they've been shaped and molded and rearranged, but in the quiet times, it's the same. In the quiet times, in the stillness with God, it's the same love, it's the same peace, it's the same faithful provision. It's all of that, and I continue to be held by Him, and so do you. No matter how the medium changes, and no matter what He's giving, He's saying is okay to release now, and what is for later. That never changes, and that's where our fulfillment is. Our purpose is to be loved, and the assignment is to love others, and that changes a lot. That is dynamic, and that is shifting, and that is changing. But our purpose never does, and so that's something that God has been talking to me about lately, and it's something that I've certainly walked through.
And I think that's the thing that you, as you're interviewing people, or you're trying to pull out what the Father is trying to say, you kind of have to temper yourself, because there have been some times that I've given that I've kind of shifted an entire show because the Holy Spirit just kind of said, you need to kind of shift into this direction, and so that's what kind of happened. But it's been very interesting in so many ways, because God is just he's just kind of shifted. He's also shifted my thoughts into how to do things, how to pull things out. And I think some of the fun things have been when I've shared something with someone and the person's like, oh, I was just going to say that, I was just about to say that. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay. It's like, oh, all right. I'm good. I'm glad I'm on the right page,
Yeah. Well, when I interviewed Dave for the podcast, I wouldn't let him say anything. He wasn't allowed to say anything at all. It was just me talking the whole time. No, I'm just kidding.
And yet
it's too much. It's too much.
I know. Well, it's funny because when Dave said, he goes, oh, I'm going to be careful, I'm not going to talk too much. I'm like, oh, no. We want you to talk. So I just texted him and I'm like, all right, where are you? It's time. It's get you back. Let's go. Get me on. because what happened is Jeremy introduced me to Dave. And then Dave introduced me to everyone. And I believe that when I was trying to connect with you, Jess, it was actually through Jeremy. I think I contacted him and I'm like, hey, do you think that this guy, Jesse Birkey, would be interested in possibly coming on? Because I thought you were like, whoa, like, I don't know, he's doing television now. I had no idea that I was going to be sleeping in his house at that time. But
that's funny.
Yeah, right. And also because of you, Jess, I had Sam Wagner, who's was on my show. We had him, and there's a lot of people. I saw that Michael Van Blyman has just popped on, and Lila Shaw is on, and Jenny and Paul Wilcox, who have been on. There have been so many, and Kara Birkey has been on. There have been so many people who have been on the show. When you start to think about it, it's like only God can do this. Only God. Because how the heck? I'm from New Jersey. Who the heck are you meeting in New Jersey? And I didn't even know that this stuff was real.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how God has intertwined and opened the doors for
and Jesse,
the guests
also,
for you.
What? Yeah. Say that. Can you say that one more time, Jess?
Oh yeah, I was just saying that it's amazing how God has opened doors for you for the different guests that you've had on, where it's where it's just you send them an email or a text or a message, and they respond right away, and the connection is made. You know, it's been really awesome to see how God has built that and networked you, because it's an inspiration to somebody like me who's looking out and considering bringing other guests on to the podcast, and just kind of working out, well, how does that work, and can you just reach out, you know, whatever. I take it you've blazed a trail, you know, look at your example and see how you've done it.
Well, it's only God. And because of you, I was able to have William Paul Young, author of The Shack. Come on.
He's a nice guy. He's a nice man.
He is a nice man. And I got to meet him. I got a hug from Paul Young. Come on.
I saw that picture.
Oh, and he is as authentic. He is so authentic. Like, he's so intentional with people. He is so real, and just, I was blown away to watch him interact with this line of people who just hugged him and just loved him and just thanked him for this book that changed their life. And he just didn't take his eyes off of each person. When he was with that person, it was just him.
If only he wasn't a heretic, that would be awesome.
You know, that heresy, man. I don't know. If you're not called a heretic, I think you're doing something wrong. I'm just saying. Jeremy, have you ever been called a heretic?
Yeah, Jeremy knows what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I don't know. Probably.
I don't think so. Michael Fram never has been called a heretic.
I'm sure not.
No, not Michael.
Just usually crazy and loud.
I don't get it direct like that. I get it like more subtle. People play games, you know. They don't just flat out say you're a heretic.
What do they do? Like play hangman with you and have you fill in the letters of heretic by the time you get to the end?
I think they're afraid they're going to get body slammed.
Oh, come on. Come on. Got to show the muscle.
I'm talking about Jesse. Jesse will body slam her for me.
I'm sorry. I'm a pacifist. I can't body slam anymore.
That's so funny. But you know, it's those kinds of people. I mean, because, you know, sometimes you say something that the Father tells you to say, and it's like, ooh, I don't think that is like, oh, Jenny Wilcox will call you a heretic. How about that, Jeremy?
Yes.
Boom. Yeah.
I feel like we need more of people calling each other heretics.
Jenny, as long as I get some of that amazing baked goods that you make, you can call me anything.
Come on. Those cookies? Seriously?
Yeah.
Which are your favorite? Gigi?
I don't know. I was drooling over those biscuits and gravy.
What's that? I haven't tasted it
the
yet.
other day.
What? You didn't have any?
Yeah, I'm deprived.
Oh, no, we got to take care of that. All right.
She makes these single serving. I think they're single serving. They've always been single serving when they come to my house. The chocolate pecan pies. Oh man.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you like carrot cake, she makes carrot cake carrot cake cupcakes, but she puts the cream cheese frosting on the inside.
What?
Oh, seriously, like seriously, and the Mexican wedding cookies, as my daughter says.
Wait, hold on. What's on the outside?
No. It's just a carrot cake, but instead of the frosting on the cupcake, instead of it being on the top, she stuffs it inside. So
the outside's just carrot cake. Ooh.
Yeah, but it's like, so it's almost like, do you remember what are those cupcakes that have the filling in the middle? Hostess cupcakes, duh. So seriously, carrot cake.
I don't think she'd be very happy if for comparing hers to Hostess though.
No,
that might be a foul.
I don't know. They've sold a few over there.
Yeah,
they're moderately successful.
Frosting in the middle. They put the frosting in the middle. So, but the Mexican wedding cookies, as my daughter says, it's like a fiesta in your mouth. Come on. When she comes to my house, she brings cookies. Although the last time she came, my son he's like, "Where's my cookies?" And she's like, "I didn't have time to bake them." He's like, "Oh, well, leave."
No, that's where you say we have an oven. We've got an oven.
I have talked to Jenny about doing a baking class. Because seriously,
that'd be great.
Yeah, I said next time she comes to Jersey, she's going to bake with me. I'll put that
You know
on
what?
Facebook.
Everybody just go buy some of Ginny's stuff right now
Yeah,
for Christmas.
Gigi's table, and she gets it ready for Christmas. They're beautifully. Each thing is individually wrapped. So if you've never tried, somebody, I think Mama Karen's on here. Mama Karen, put the link up so that people can order Gigi's. Go to Gigi's table because seriously, go ahead. What were you gonna say, Jess?
I was gonna say every baked good comes with a cat, right in the box. You know, right in the box.
This episode is officially sponsored by Gigi's Table.
By Gigi's Table. That's
200
right.
episodes.
That's it. My 200th episode sponsor. I wish I had a cookie because seriously, I'd be putting it up going, this is by Gigi. Come on. And let me tell you something. That's the other thing. When we went to North Carolina to go, if Dave ever gets back to his chair, but when we went to North Carolina to go and meet Dave in person because he was on Sid Rocket's Supernatural. If you guys didn't know that, like he's a big star. But he was we all went there and it was Jenny.
He has a couple Twitter followers.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I've been pushing. I've been like kind of like trying to promote him a little bit. So I think we should do that. We should just kind of push, and promote him just a little bit. So
you feel bad for him?
A little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, poor guy.
But when we went, Ginny brought cookies. Just saying. So she brought, yeah, she did. And we sat like in this at this one hotel, and we just commandeered this area, and Ginny brought out all her baked delights, and so we were all sitting there eating like cookies and trying it's the best because when Jenny comes, she brings cookies. I'm just saying, best cookies ever. That's right, Ava. Best cookies ever. Seriously. So Jeremy, we will make sure that you get some Gigi's Table. We're gonna take care of you. Oh heck yeah. So, and Michael, you've never had it either, right?
No, I just drool at the pictures on Facebook. Of course, I try not to eat any of that stuff now since I've been doing this low-carb diet thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I get very tempted. Like I said, last week she had put up biscuits and gravy.
Yeah.
I was drooling. I was like, Ginny, please stop.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, it is, it's going to be good. I'm telling you, we'll get you some cookies. We'll get you some cookies.
All this is going to really mess with our fitness regimen, Jeremy.
Well, Jeremy,
this is not going to be good.
Jeremy's going to have to do like a Facebook Live, like get our butts in gear kind of thing, because there have been times that I've been at the gym and I wasn't pushing myself, and I've actually thought to myself, oh, what would Jeremy say right now?
I'd say you should probably just quit and go home.
Oh, stop it now.
Actually, I had that talk with someone at the gym today. He walked up to me out of nowhere, and I pulled my headphones out, and he's like, you know how when your body's telling you to quit, but your mind is saying, no, don't quit? I'm like, yeah, listen to your mind. Tell your body who's boss.
That's right. Come on.
And I saw him like 20 minutes later. He pushed through. So that's probably what I tell you. Tell your body to shut up.
Oh, yeah, you would say, yeah, exactly. You have to just push through. And speaking of fitness, like, Jess, you and Kara are going to be you just celebrated 1 year at Flow Fitness, correct?
Ooh.
Yeah, in fact, someone just commented. I missed the person who commented that I do have a place to go work out. I think it was Lila.
Yeah.
But I'm not allowed to work out there unless I dress up, except for 6:30 on Friday nights. I can go there and work out, I guess.
All right. Okay.
The class. They don't take it easy though. They'll kick your butts in there.
Yeah, they will.
It's no joke. I'm in there after class just kissing the floor. That's brutal. Yeah.
That is so fun. And I think that has been, I'm trying to see if Dave's going to come because I still see his chair, but so.
Well, my chair is about to be empty. My phone is just notified me. It is dying. Yeah.
It is dying. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on Touched by Prayer. Love you. Thank you so much. Thank you for all your encouragement. You are the best.
Thank you for having me. And Lisa, this is only the beginning. And God has so many cool things for you. And there will be more podcasts, but there will be shows. There might even be movies.
Come on.
There's books. There's all kinds of things. And the cool thing is that you understand that the media, that it's communications, and you know that in your heart and in your mind, because you're not going to peg yourself into one thing and get limited. You're flowing with God. You're flowing with the Holy Spirit, and there's a bunch of different avenues. But the cool thing is you have your core message, and you have all these different mechanisms through which God's going to use to communicate that message to many, many people. So I'm just honored to be your friend and to be a part of this thing. And hey, I'm along for the long haul with you.
Oh, you are the best. I love you. Thank you so much.
Love you too.
All right,
Thank you. Take care.
Love you, man.
Okay,
Love
take
you,
care.
buddy.
And then there were 3, and we're still waiting for the chair to be filled. So
It's Jesse, Michael, Lisa, and Dave's chair.
come on. I'll take that. Come on, we just got to get him back in. So I just texted him again, and we'll see if we can get him back in. But this has just been so much fun. But I want Dave to come on because there's so much that Dave has actually brought to Touched by Prayer. I mean, he has introduced me to so many people. So, and I was trying to kind of pull him in, but he was just like, I couldn't break up I had to separate the tables. I had to separate the desks. I just couldn't do it. So,
you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
I know. Well, it's just that's sometimes what you got to do. But so Jess, let's just I do want to talk about the other side, which is your podcast, which I just had you and Caleb on the show. I think it was 3 weeks ago, and it looks like it's actually changing a little bit because did you have Brian Simmons just on who did the Passion Translation?
No, we didn't. That's somebody that Caleb is maybe reaching out to, but
Okay.
no, the only guest that we've had on so far has been Dave. So we're brand new. We're just getting started. We're figuring this whole thing out. It's been a lot of fun. We are finding a lot of freedom in being able to discuss and not just discuss controversial issues, but come at them from a place to where they're practical in everyday life. So we're not just bringing things up for the sake of bringing things up and being argumentative or being controversial and stirring the pot. I mean, these are things that we have walked through. Questions like our last episode was just on Christian Zionism and nationalism, and does your blessings and curses really depend on whether or not you stand for or against Israel? Is that the barometer? Is that the pendulum? Is that if you're for Israel, are you going to be blessed? If you're not for Israel, are you going to be cursed? What does that even mean? Is that consistent with the character of God that we see on the cross? And just having a real discussion about that stuff, because those are all things that we've struggled with and that we processed. And so I look forward to continuing to be able to talk about some of these things and how we have wrestled with God in our own lives and how we're seeing these issues come out in everyday life, and having an opportunity to live out your theology, to live out what you believe to be true, and to impact people around you for the positive now, and not for the negative. We're supposed to be building people up and not tearing people down. So how can we process these things? How can we wrestle with them and never put relationship on the table? It's so important. Relationship should never be on the table when you're talking about theology. So we're really excited, and Karen's just asking about Vim. So one of the Vim took a backseat for a long time because of the business. It'll be 2 years for Flow Fitness in March.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
Man. Yeah, so it's been really, really an amazing journey. And when we started getting into the business, the Lord said everything else needs to go on the back burner. And so it was family, my job, God, and work, not necessarily in that order. God and family being at the top. But I had to put everything else on the back burner and just let God have those things. And now he's bringing some of those things back around. But the webinars are going to be a benefit for those who support the Other Side podcast on Patreon. And so we are scheduling that. We are doing that for our supporters of the other side. And so that is something that we are incorporating back and bringing back. And I'm excited to be able to connect with people again in that format. The interactive element of it was so much fun, and God did so many amazing things. And I'm looking forward to just seeing what it looks like as we move forward.
Well, I'm very excited about Vim because it was so much fun. The thing that I loved about it is that people were able to, pray for each other, to give words. I mean, Michael, you were even on Vim.
I was.
Yeah.
Which was funny. I mean, there were a lot of people on Vim. I was on Vim. You had Paul Young on Vim. You had Michael Vim Blyman on Vim. So there were a lot of people.
Yeah, and it was kind of what you were talking about. With God just networking people together. Like I sent William Paul Young a Facebook message, and he messaged me back. I was like, who is this? Who am I? I just messaged him a couple minutes ago, and he already messaged me back. And Doug Addison was kind of the same way, and Brian Simmons was the same way. I was just kind of like, wow, this is just really amazing. It's nothing about I am special, and I am worthy, and I am loved and adored, and I am so valuable. But that's not me. That's God making connections,
Absolutely.
And so I look forward to being able to reconnect with some of those people for the Other Side podcast. And, but Vim was really amazing in that way. And the way the different personalities flow together, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it.
I think the first episode I did on Vim was with Dave and it was funny because Dave he just wanted to pray for healing for people. So he didn't say a heck of a lot. And I didn't shut up, I think. Because imagine that. But I kept seeing, because we were prophesying over people, and it was the first time I ever did it. And I was really excited about it, that the Lord was actually giving me different, telling me different things about people's picture, because that's all I saw were just people's pictures, and the Lord would just kind of say, okay, talk about that one, and I would start to see things, and I wasn't sure if it was right or not, and it just kind of, I think that's when I started to understand that you don't actually have to put your hands on somebody to prophesy over them. I was a little shocked. I was a little shocked because you're like, all right, well, this is what you're going to do. And, if somebody kind of pops up, you're going to, if God gives you a word for them, I'm like, I don't know if that's going to happen. So I thought Dave was going to take the lead on that. And he's like, I'm just going to sit in the back and I'm going to pray.
That's right. I forgot until you mentioned that you and him were on together. That's right.
Yes, we were. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Go ahead.
I always tried to bring on a prophetic person with somebody who loved to pray more for healing, so that you could have that kind of equal dynamic going on. But that was awesome. Yeah. I was like, and I know that Dave kind of sat there and he prayed for healing, which is exactly what I hoped that he would do, is pray for healing for people as the requests came in. And there were some testimonies that night, and to experience you just flowing in the prophetic in that way was so much fun. But there he is.
There he is. The man, the myth, the legend, David Joseph has taken his chair. Come on.
How's everyone doing?
We are awesome. We brought up your chair just to show people that you were actually.
Well, I was hanging out here for a while, as you saw. And then I was actually in the middle of making dinner for Denise. And,
that's what I figured. That's exactly what I figured.
So we just finished dinner, and we just finished dinner, and now I'm good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, the chair, while you were gone, the chair prophesied over everyone, so it was all good.
The hot seat prophecy. I love it. Hey, Karen, how you doing? I see Karen is on the chat.
Yes, and Lila's here, and Paul and Ginny. So all your friends, all my
peeps,
all your peeps. So, Mr. David Joseph, Mr. AKA Praying Medic, Mr. AKA Dave Hayes. I have known you since 2014. Can you believe that?
I thought it was longer than that. It seems like we've known each other forever.
That's what I'm saying.
Are you sure you haven't missed a few years in there? Because it seems
no.
Go back. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. I know. It seems longer, right? It seems like when did we not know each other?
Well, heck, how many friggin' podcasts have we done together? Like 5 or 6 podcasts.
Yeah, we did. And then we started to do the Facebook Live.
Right.
So because that's how we started on Touched by Prayer was we did the podcast, which I'm still trying to upload. Because I think, Michael, we did at least like 6 podcasts before we actually went to, I did video. And you were actually Michael was the second or third person that I did video-wise. And Rob actually set up cameras in my living room, in my dining room.
Yes.
Because Mike's the only one who's been to my house and done the show actually live from my house.
I have not been to your
yokel.
I have not been to your house.
I said that's because I'm a local yokel.
That's true. Not yet. But it's but that was when this is before I understood about like Facebook Live. And I talked to Jesse and I said, Jesse, what do you think? Because I was doing Periscope at the time. And so Jesse was the one who said he actually liked Facebook Live better. So I kind of went to that. But Dave, you're still doing the Periscope thing. So, and I'm
doing a little bit of everything. I do a little YouTube, a little Periscope, a little Facebook Live, a little podcasting, whatever,
Little this, little that. It's all good.
It's all good.
Sometimes I play quarterback for the Chiefs,
You're amazing.
He is. So, and so Dave, because of you and because of your awesome connections, you have connected me with so many incredible guests. You brought, because Jeremy connected me with you, and then I spoke to you and Denise. And the first time you ever did the podcast is when you did the first gathering when you went back to Tacoma.
Yep.
And then from there you started to, I think you wanted to test the ground and see how's this going to work. So, right. And then after that, you started to share me with a bunch of different people, and you have brought more people and connected me with more people that have been on Touched by Prayer. And I just want to say thank you so much.
You are welcome. It's a pleasure connecting like-minded people. I love being the Kingdom Connector. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, and you do it so well.
Thank you.
Because that is part of like who you are. It's like, hey, why don't you call this person? Because I think this person would be really good on your show. And so that was, and then it started to grow, because if I actually went through, because when I first started Touched by Prayer, I knew no one. I knew people at my church. And so those are the people that I had on Touched by Prayer for the first 2 months, I think. It was just people from my church, because I did it every week. Every Tuesday, I did it. So, and I would just try to find topics that I thought would be interesting using everyday people, because I didn't really know that many. So, but and I've had Michael Basham is saying hello, Michael Basham. Michael Basham has done the show, so much fun. So, Dave, tell me what is it like to now? How many episodes have you done on
my podcast? Hello? Uh-oh.
No,
yeah, so you got you were temporarily frozen.
Just
okay.
Yeah,
you knew what you were going to say though.
I have around 160 episodes on my podcast, but okay. I'm an underachiever.
You really need some more projects.
No, gosh. I was talking to this guy last night, he's in marketing, and he helps a lot of people on YouTube get advertisers for their YouTube channels. So we were talking, and he says, what you really need to do is you need to do like a daily news broadcast, like a live, daily news broadcast. I said, I said, that just would be a real pain.
I know, but that's what I've been seeing for a long time.
Now shut up. Don't say stuff like that.
But it's true. But no. I've seen this for quite a while.
No, so
Oh,
he's
wow. And
saying, look, he goes,
Wasn't
you
there a
need
dream
to be
too?
like, huh?
Wasn't there a dream too?
No,
There might have been. There might have been. Might have been.
Don't be
Right.
silly. Now you're just lying, Jesse. Come on. Pinocchio.
I never
no,
dream.
is
I
growing
never
longer.
dream. The one time I dream, you can't deny it. I never dream.
Oh heck, you did have a dream about me about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, he did have a dream about me.
See?
Ugh.
There
All
you
right,
go.
I'm gonna pretend. But anyway, I was talking to this dude, and he goes, no, you need to have like a daily news broadcast because look, the mainstream media is toast. It's dead. No one listens to them anymore. No one cares. People want average. They want to listen to average people who are informed, who are unbiased, who have a little bit of ability to entertain people. And he said, you need to put out like a daily news broadcast. And I said, you mean like Dan Bongino's podcast? He goes, yeah, like Dan Bongino. He does his podcast every day. He does, whatever's going on in the intelligence community or whatever he's learning about. And I said, well, I used to do that back before Q started, back September, October, November of last year, when the FISA stuff was breaking and there was a lot of shakeup going on in the intelligence community. I was doing a nightly broadcast on Periscope. I would aggregate news stories on my Twitter timeline, and then I would just go down through the news stories on Periscope and do a live news broadcast. And then I started uploading them to YouTube. And, I was getting like 1,000 views on YouTube and Periscope. And then Q happened. And when I started doing the Q broadcasts, then interest just grew. But the thing for me is, it was interesting to do it for a while. I was doing it 4 or 5 nights a week. But I want to write books. And I've kind of gotten into the habit where I only do videos now on the Supernatural Saturday videos. And then when Q is posting, if Q is dropping, I'm doing Q stuff. I've been on a grand jury for the last 2 months. Our grand jury meets twice a week it takes up about 8 or 9, 10 hours a day. So my schedule is so crammed. I don't have the time to devote to doing news every day. But this guy said, no, he goes, someone needs to be doing news broadcasts every day, like a daily broadcast, same time, same day. He goes, we'll get you hooked up with some advertisers. And I'm like, oh man, this is just going to be like a job. And I'm not really looking for a job. I like being able to write a book when I want to write a book, do a video when I want to do a video, do a live broadcast if I feel like doing a live broadcast. I kind of like being a free spirit, but there is a need for a little more discipline. Once this grand jury thing is done, I'll have to look at what I'm going to do with my free time again.
You could be a free spirit and have a show too.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. And I also want to say
I'll
that
have to hold my sign up.
If you have a, what does it say? CNN.
CNN rules.
Dear diary.
I think that you need to have a studio. And I think if everything is set up, like the lighting is set up, your place is set up, everything is set, all you have to do is just basically turn everything on and just go.
That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Lisa, listen to me. That is what they are doing right now. Okay.
Okay.
We have the ability. All right. Jesse, I'm talking to you too. And David Licken, if you hear this, I'm talking to you too. Because Jesse and David Licken have been kind of giving me prophetic words about news and a new kind of news and something different that hasn't been done before. Right. So if the current system of delivering news and information is broken, why are we trying to recreate a new version of a broken system?
Absolutely.
A Christian version or a citizen version of a broken model. If we unplug ourselves from the matrix, if we realize that we've been living in a false reality that has been created by lying, deceptive people who have been pulling the strings, And if we cut those strings and get rid of this artificial reality of what news really is, what we think news is, and what we think news broadcast should be, if we deconstruct, and it's going to happen, that paradigm, that model is going to be deconstructed. It's happening right now. We can start over and do it any way we want. We can make it look like anything we want. We don't have to have a set. We don't have to have lights. We don't have to have girls with short skirts and lipstick and boob jobs. We can be average people doing whatever it is that God wants us to do, however he wants us to do it. We don't have to use old models. And that's kind of the thing that's kind of energized me, is once I realized the system is broken and we can create anything we want to replace it with, now I'm like, oh, creative liberty, freedom. Hey, let's do something cool. Go ahead.
And I definitely agree with that, but I think about things that are simplistic. Like sometimes if you have a place that has controlled lighting, controlled audio, it's going to be easier to do something that is going to be consistently the sound is going to be the same, the lighting's going to be the same. So there's going to be a consistency in the quality, because people don't like schlocky video. I'm just saying.
All right, let me challenge you.
Okay.
You know that my YouTube channel has about 185,000 subscribers.
But who's counting?
And my average video gets, I don't like to talk about statistics. I hate talking about social media numbers. It drives me nuts. But I'm going to make a point here.
Okay.
My YouTube videos on average get 225,000 views per video. Hardly anyone ever sees my face on the videos. All right. It's a screenshot of my desktop on my computer, and I have text and images and graphics and memes of whatever Q is posted. Now, I'm not saying good microphone, having a decent video camera. If you're going to do video of you, good lighting, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I think that's good to have good production quality. I will tell you this. When I was on Sid Roth the last time, all right, so we're hanging out, and I'm talking to the staff, and one of the young guys comes over to me, and he goes, praying medic, he goes, I got to talk to you about something. And I said, what do you want to talk about? He goes, your YouTube channel. I said, oh my gosh, you know about my YouTube channel? He goes, look, I manage Sid's YouTube channel. I know about yours. He goes, I've been following you for a long time. And he goes, I'm following all of your Q videos. And he goes, I want to tell you something. He goes, do not change anything you're doing with your production. And I said, because people sometimes say, put in some intros, put in some outros, add some music, title ads, all this stuff. He goes, no. He goes, no. He goes, you're an average guy in your living room. We all know that. You're working at your desk and you just do this stuff. Nothing fancy coming in, nothing going out. He said, our videos, our shows are way overproduced. We go way too far overboard on production. And he goes, if I was the one doing this, we would minimize the production and make it a lot more real, just kind of average people doing what they do. And he said, I'm just going to give you my advice. He goes, don't change anything you're doing. Leave it plain, leave it kind of ordinary. Don't try to make it high production. So you can have a successful platform. You can have a successful show, and it doesn't have to be incredibly high tech. Like anyone who has a computer and a screen capture program can do a news program. They can just go through a Twitter timeline and talk about a bunch of news stories if they wanted to, or they could do devotionals. Pepper, my friend Jilly Pepper, does a devotional on Periscope every day, and it's a black screen.
Yeah, listen.
Black screen, and she just reads a devotional, and people tune in to listen to it.
Yeah.
So, it's a little bit weird for us to think outside the box, but I think the more we think outside the box, the more God is going to show us unique, creative ways to do things that have not been done that way before.
I do agree with you. I'm just what I always think about, because if what I have seen, at least, and believe me, I've watched people's videos and people always comment, they're like, why do you do your Facebook lives in the car? Why do you always do it? Are you driving? Are you driving? Everybody wants to know, am I driving? No, I'm never driving. I always pull over, and it's quick. My Facebook Live videos are very quick. It's usually under 10 minutes, and it's whatever God has put on my heart. It's just to encourage people. And I usually talk about like whoever's going to be on my show or whatever. But one of the things that the reason I do it in my car is because I don't have to deal with the wind. I don't have to deal with bad lighting. I don't have to deal with the distractions, because when you're doing a video, even when you're holding your phone, so I just hold my phone. I don't even put it like on some kind of some people put it up like the little holder things. I just hold it. And my hand's very steady. So I just kind of keep it and I can adjust it. And sometimes I'll give you some, I take my elbow and I sometimes stick it like on the steering wheel so that it's supported, so that in case it does get shaky. but that's the only reason that I do it. And I've thought about taking it and like doing my videos inside my house, like at night, but I feel like it loses what it has. I feel like it loses that spontaneity. Is what I kind of feel.
Yeah, and we should, as believers, we should be the ones who are pioneering and blazing the trail. It should be us. It should be the lovers of Jesus who have come into agreement with the creative nature inside of us, and those of us who have realized and understand that we have the mind of Christ. It should be us building businesses. It should be us innovating what's been out there already. It should be us being able to tune in enough to hear that the Lord is saying that you don't need the extreme overproduction. All I want is you to get in front of a camera and be real. I want you to impact people. I want you to be sincere. And to be able to go out and do that, it should be us who are going out and listening and doing that. And I hope that it is. I hope that more believers and more lovers of Jesus rise up and understand that we're the ones that can and should be changing the trends and leading people into an encounter with relationship being the first priority, and leading them into the heart of Jesus, and whatever that looks like in whatever medium that he's given us. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And Dave, I mean, when Lila and I first saw you at Sid Roth, we both saw the same thing. Lila and I were watching you and you were interacting with Sid, and we both saw, not because we talked about it after, we saw you switch places with Sid to where you were the interviewer and he was the interviewee. We both saw it. We talked about it after. It's not like something we thought about. And I really believe that God is just turning this, and he's putting you into this position where you've already started. I mean, we were kind of saying that we should really start promoting you because we're feeling bad that you don't have enough followers. So we were talking off screen about, possibly, I mean, I don't have a big poll, but I'm going to start really pushing people to start watching your videos and stuff. But what we see is that God's already positioned you into this place that you have a voice, and you have. You are news. You are news. And that's what I kind of feel.
Was that your cliffhanger? Were you hanging on a cliff there, Dave? Is that what that was?
I'm gonna say, yeah, I was frozen for a little bit. So, and that's why I kind of repeated it. But that's what I see. So I think that when you're saying that this guy is saying you're supposed to be doing news, I've seen that since you started with the Q stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, I need to stop arguing with all my prophetic friends who keep telling me the same things.
That's it.
Over and over again.
There you go.
Because I'm hearing it from everybody.
Well, do you know what that means, Dave? I don't know if you've ever heard this word.
That's awesome.
No,
I love it.
I was going to say that's called confirmation, but you already do that.
Yeah.
You're coming now everything that, and that's the whole thing. So but I think that God is also going to be slowly coming to an end. But there still is going to be people who are going to be looking for the truth amidst the lies. And that's where you step in.
Yeah. People are hungry for the truth.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah. Can we just, can I just say that doing something media related in a sincere and honest way doesn't mean that you do it without a spirit of excellence. Like you can do something with excellence without it being overproduced. Like that's not what makes something excellent. And the question is, how do you understand excellence? You know, how do you understand doing something in a professional or excellent way? And I think that many of us have seen that you can make something look really pretty on the outside, but when you listen to it and you tune in, it's nothing but emptiness. And I would rather tune into something real and have something impact me. And maybe it doesn't have all the lights and the glitz that the other things have.
Or the balloons.
Oh no, everything needs balloons. Everything needs balloons. But I would rather be impacted deeply than to be somewhere where it's all produced and it's just emptiness. You know?
And I think that's such a valid thing, because I think what Dave, what you're saying is that what we're going to start doing is we're going to be shifting our attention to the truth speakers, because there are people who are truth seekers, but they're going to be looking for the truth speakers, people who are speaking the heart of God, people who are speaking the intentions of God, and people who actually hear from the heart of God. Like that's what I believe.
Yep.
Then it kind of puts those fears to rest. It starts to make you, it's just giving you this idea that, God is in control as long as we are continually letting him guide us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, look, one of these days, very soon, the world is going to wake up from a very deep sleep.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a shocking, rude awakening.
Yeah.
That is going to involve the exposure of corruption in corporate America, in the media, and in government. The degree
and in the church.
And
the church. Yeah.
The degree to which people are going to be absolutely shocked and disillusioned. And it's going to be very difficult for a lot of people when they wake up and they're forced to look at the truth. Now,
yeah.
When these people are arrested, and they will be,
yeah.
And when the corporations collapse,
and they will,
and when the media corporations collapse, and when the truth is exposed, people are going to collectively realize they were lied to for decades.
Yeah.
And once you realize how deceived you were, you're going to start seeking the truth. Like you said, there are going to be truth seekers, and they're going to need truth speakers. So anyone who is able and willing to be an honest broker in information is going to be sought out very highly.
Yes, I definitely agree.
Amen.
And I think that the beautiful part of what you do, Dave, is that you incorporate that has to do with government, and you show how God is in it, because he is calling people to pray. He's calling people to see what he's doing behind the scenes. So you're giving people that we're just not doing this by the seat. We're not going by the seat of our pants, but that there is a divine connection, and there is a divine guidance system if you're willing to listen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's it. You have to be willing to listen. You have to be willing to allow God to show you the truth, regardless of how uncomfortable it is. It's going to be very uncomfortable for a lot of people. But if they're willing, God will show people the truth. That's
right. But you've also brought people who didn't believe in God to start coming over to your supernatural Saturdays. Come on!
I had no idea how God was going to use my political news and commentary videos and the Q videos to red pill people into the kingdom. I have brought, I have heard more testimonies of salvation and rededications to Jesus since I started doing Q than I've seen in the entire last 18 years of my life. Just
That's
since I started
amazing.
doing Q. All these people who are atheists, agnostics, New Agers, or burned out church dropouts have gotten reignited, reconnected to God because they watch my Q videos and then, oh, hey, there's a supernatural. And this guy's, well, this is the same guy. He's talking about Q, but now he's talking about healing and relationship with Jesus and dreams. And they're just like, what in the world is happening here? But I get messages all the time from people who are dedicating their lives to God because of what they're finding on my Twitter threads and my videos. And
Because
I
you're
never saw
speaking the
myself as an
truth.
evangelist, but holy moly, people are getting saved left, right, and center. It's crazy.
But that's because you are speaking truth. You are a truth speaker. So when you speak the truth, right? It says the truth will set you free. Come on.
Exactly. Well, and here's the thing. What is going to usher in the greatest revival of not only our lifetime, but probably the last 1,000 years is going to be the uncloaking of a very corrupt system. And when people see the level of corruption and depravity, the way that children have been sacrificed, the way that children have been abused, the way that power has been abused, it's going to cause people to look at the the question of evil. Because right now, I mean, there's a whole lot of people who don't believe evil exists or believe that good and evil are sort of subjective things. There's not really an objective measurement for truth and lies or evil and good. A lot of people are finding out as they dive into the corruption, they're coming face to face with evil, and they know that evil has a name, it has a persona. And if evil has a name and a persona, so does good. And a lot of them who have kind of not wanted to think about God are now thinking about God all the time. And they're admitting that they were wrong. And a lot of them are turning to Jesus because they've seen how real evil is. And that is going to bring in, I think it's the exposure of evil that is going to cut people to the heart. And that is going to bring in a massive global revival. Partly, I think, because corrupt politicians are going to be removed from around the globe, and people are going to be set free, and their money is going to be returned to them, and freedom is going to be returned to them.
Come on.
So, out of gratitude, a lot of people are going to turn to God. The other thing that's going to turn people's hearts to God is the exposure of evil. We're going to see a massive revival coming out of all this stuff that Trump is doing. The revival is coming like we've never imagined.
And that's why I think that God is getting people ready. And I think that's like Michael Fram, what you do. And you've been teaching truth, and you've been telling people, like, don't listen to this. And, you know, you're giving them the truth because some of the doctrine has been so watered down. So it's like, just like as Dave is speaking the truth and the things that are happening, God is also preparing the church, the body, to do things in a pure way. He's getting rid of the impurities in the church so that when people do come, they're going to get, again, truth.
Right. Well, I think the big thrust right now for me and for most of the people in the circle that I move in and have relationships in is about getting back to the blueprint of the New Testament and operating by divine design. And unfortunately, through the years of church history, we have gotten so far away from the book of Acts and from the epistles, and most of what we see in church government today does not look like the New Testament at all. And so we've gone through what I call a great restoration, where many things that were missing from the church have been restored to the church. And we got really excited about the restoration of things that were missing. The problem was, within the restoration, we didn't hold people accountable to New Testament order. And so, because we were like kids with candy in the candy store, being so excited that you can all prophesy, we didn't hold people accountable for what they were prophesying and how they were doing it. And because we got so excited that, there were apostles today, we didn't hold them accountable that they were servant leaders. Instead, they ended up being hierarchals that wanted to lord it over people and have everybody be in submission and subjection to them. And so now we're in the place where we have to have a reformation of the restoration that we've seen, because we didn't hold it to order. And I look at it this way. I wrote a blog not long ago called From Restoration to Reformation to Culmination. And I believe we're having what's ahead of us. There's on the horizon a culmination of every restoration move of God. If you go through the last 70 years of church history, you can see where we had the evangelist restored in the voice of healing movement. We had the teacher restored in the word of faith movement. We had prophets restored in the prophetic movement. We had apostles restored in the apostolic movement. And we were all excited about all these restorations, but it wasn't done according to the pattern and the blueprint of the New Testament. And so now that restoration has to go through a reformation so that it looks like the New Testament. We keep the restoration, but we bring it back to the pattern and back to the blueprint. When we get that, we'll have a convergence of the ages. We'll have a culmination in the last great revival. And the things that Dave's talking about, the church has to be ready and has to be in position and be in place and has to be clicking on all cylinders, because when it goes to hell in a handbasket out there, and it's going to, and when it does, we better have our game face on. It better be game on, because they're going to be looking for somebody that has an answer. And the people that have the answer are us, but we haven't looked like it because we've been in a state of dysfunction playing with our charismatic toys. And so now we're coming into that reformation process. We're getting back into order. We're getting back to the blueprint. And so that's why we're teaching the things that we're teaching. I am constantly amazed by the feedback and the comments that I get on the Facebook Lives and the social media, and people telling me I never heard anything like this. And, I've been saved for this long and nobody's ever taught it like this. And I say to myself, dear Lord God, what are people being taught and what are preachers preaching? And it's about time somebody makes it plain, somebody puts it out there in balance, and somebody says it right, and we begin to hold people accountable. And when we get back to the basics, we get back to the New Testament, get back to the order, we'll take all that restoration, we'll have it reformed, we'll be ready. And when what Dave's saying happens, and it's going to happen, we'll be ready for it, and we'll be able to help them. And there will be the greatest revival that planet Earth has ever seen. I'm just crazy enough to believe that Bible prophecy is going to come to pass. I'm just crazy enough to believe that when Haggai said the glory of the latter house would be greater than the former house, there wasn't just a fulfillment of the rebuilding of the temple after Babylonian captivity, but I believe that there's going to be a restoration that comes to the point that we will see a glory released in the last day church that's greater than the book of Acts. And if we get excited over the book of Acts, I've got news for you. What we will see will make the book of Acts look like a Sunday school picnic. And
Come
I'm
on.
just crazy enough to believe that Bible prophecy is true and it's going to come to pass. And we are in those transition seasons right now. We are in that reformation right now where we are coming into order, we're coming into alignment, and we're beginning to see the body connect in ways that it hasn't in years. Even regionally here, Lisa, you've seen it, you've been a part of it, and what we're doing with regional alignment, that we have black folks and white folks and Latino folks coming together. We've got men and women coming together. We have people from their 30s to their 80s coming together, fellowshipping together, praying together over a region. And, you know, I've been saved since I was 5 and been in the ministry for 39 years. And I've never seen the unity and the coming together and the alignment of the body of Christ like I'm seeing right now. God is moving in the earth. He's moving by his Spirit and getting us ready so that on our side, we're ready to receive them when they come for what Dave's talking about.
Whew. Come on.
Amen.
Mic drop.
I know. I was just going to say, I know. And he's still going. I was going to say, Jess, I saw your beautiful wife is saying that there are some children who are waiting for a good night kiss. So if you have to go, I'm going to let you. I'll let
I have
you
children?
sign. You do. I know. It's shocking, right?
All right.
But just to thank you so much for coming on this special show, and thank you for everything that you've shared, and thank you for your encouragement, and thank you for your stories. Thank you for your books, which I'm really praying that you're going to have some more books, because if you guys have never read the book Finding Home, go get it. If you love The Shack, go get Finding Home. You will love this book. Get tissues. It is such an amazing, amazing book. It's one of my favorites. So definitely, support Jesse. Go to his website. And do you still have the website, Jess?
No, we're doing no website.
Okay, so you
we're
can go
doing
to
something else,
Amazon.
but I don't know what to
That's
pull that.
okay. No, we're
Yeah.
not going to talk about that. You're just going to say we're going to go to Amazon. It's called Finding Home by Jesse Birkey.
Oh, she's frozen. She's smiling.
Now,
Yeah,
everybody.
You could slap her while she's frozen.
Thank you
She
so
can't
much
react.
for inviting me to be a part of this. It's an honor and a privilege to know you and to get to walk through this with you, and appreciate everything that you've done, and love you guys.
Love you. Take care.
Love you, Jesse.
Good night.
Good night.
See-
Okay.
Good night.
Okay, and then there were two. So I just want to say back to you, Dave, because I do want you to talk just a little bit about some of the corruption that is going to be exposed, because I don't believe that people truly understand, because you did just talk just very briefly about the children, because that's been one of the things in Q drops. And because what it's going to do, it's going to bring what Michael just said into what you are about to say, because what is going to be exposed is going to need to be dealt with in a purified manner.
Yep. Well, what we're going to find out, I think, very quickly, I didn't see this coming, but it's kind of odd how God rolled this out for me, and how he red-pilled me about the truth of the pedophilia that's going on in high places in the world. So I have never been, a truther. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't really, not interested in that kind of stuff. But not long after Trump got elected, the Lord began giving me dreams. Specifically, he instructed me to look into the Clinton Foundation. So I kind of did a month-long deep dive into everything I could learn about the Clinton Foundation, all the politicians that they were connected to, politicians who donated money, where the money went, and the favors that were done in exchange for things that were happening with the Clinton Foundation. I have archives of information about the Clinton Foundation going back as long as you can think about, and I know way more about it than I ever wanted to know about it. So this was about a month-long investigation into the Clinton Foundation. I literally sat down at my computer for about 10 hours a day, every day for 30 days, nonstop, and just dug and dug and dug and dug and investigated and researched everything I could on the Clinton Foundation. And I learned a lot of things that are, frankly, just shocking. One of the things that I learned is that in high levels of government, almost universally around the world, it is very common for politicians to trade children as sex slaves. And it's rather well known in circles, in political circles. And a lot of that is very much accepted in Middle Eastern cultures, particularly it has been in Saudi Arabia. So I did my research on the Clinton Foundation, and then I kind of just unplugged and I stopped researching all that stuff, and I kind of like took a bath because I was just feeling disgusted after having learned all that stuff. Then Q showed up. And when I had that dream where the guy showed up in the dream and he turned to me and said, "Do you understand this is primarily about the children?" I knew what he was talking about. So let's see. Today is November 27th. In about a week, on December 5th, John Huber, U.S. Attorney John Huber, is going to be testifying before Congress about his investigation into the Clinton Foundation. Now, Huber is the guy who was tapped by Jeff Sessions to investigate corruption in government instead of having a second special counsel appointed. Rather than take an attorney who would have an investigation centered in Washington, D.C., like Robert Mueller's investigation, special counsel, his grand juries are all impaneled within Virginia and the D.C. area. Sessions decided to use a U.S. attorney out of Utah who can impanel grand juries anywhere in the country. And that's what he's been doing for the last year. His office, along with the Department of Justice, Inspector General Mike Horowitz has a staff of 470 investigators and attorneys who work with him. Huber has access to the U.S. Attorney's Office and the DOJ's Inspector General personnel. So they have been, my understanding from Q, is they have been working on this for a year and doing investigations and paneling grand juries. There are over 50,000 sealed indictments on the federal court dockets in various district courts around the country. So on December 5th, Huber is going to speak for the first time about his investigation into the Clinton Foundation. Now, we know that the Justice Department never comments on ongoing investigations. They're not supposed to anyway. They don't like to confirm or deny ongoing investigations, and they certainly don't do public discussions of them. So since Huber is going to testify in a congressional investigative committee next week on the Clinton Foundation, it's my guess that that investigation is complete. And if the investigation is complete, it is time to start charging people. And the Clinton Foundation is tied into all of the corruption around the world. All the political corruption, the bribery, the kickbacks, the child pedophilia, the rings that are going on. It's all tied back to the Clinton Foundation, almost all of it. All the corporate corruption, pay for play, Uranium One, the Benghazi fiasco, I mean, all of that stuff, it's all tied to the Clinton Foundation. It's all tied to Bill and Hillary. And very soon we are going to take a swallow of a big red pill that is going to be very difficult for a lot of people to swallow. And once the truth is exposed about the Clinton Foundation, then the individual players in the corrupt people in the Obama administration, going back to the Bushes, corrupt people in Europe and in Asia, they're all going to be exposed. And that's we're kind of, if you look on Twitter and you see people like John Brennan and Sally Yates and James Comey and all those people, former Obama officials on the DOJ and FBI and the staff, they're all freaking out. They're all losing their marbles because they know the hammer is coming. And there's a lot of panic among those people. That's because the day of truth is coming. So we're going to learn some very uncomfortable things. Look, people who don't know about this, the vast majority of people in the country have no idea that this has been going on. And they're going to learn some very uncomfortable things about their heroes. So they're going to be disillusioned. They're going to be shocked. They're not going to know how to react. And we, as a body, have to be able to love them, nurture them, and gently speak to the truth to them and encourage them and let them know, look, there's a plan to remove all that corruption and depravity and replace it with something that is good and positive. So,
I think that that's really good that's all being said, because when these kids get these people who have been involved in this stuff, they're going to need healing. And so it's going to take the church, it's going to take the body to come and love them in their brokenness. But if we're still a hot mess, we're not going to be able to help them. And so you're going to have all these broken individuals who are just going to just self-destruct, so to speak. And that's why I believe that God is really working on the hearts of the church, so that when this stuff is exposed, we can start to embrace and to love on these people without judgment and without any condemnation, because we're going to be judging, or because we're going to be loving them with the heart of the Father.
Yep, I agree. I am very thankful that God has been raising up and training people in emotional healing, especially because there's going to be a lot of need for emotional healing, both from the victims of sexual abuse and political abuse, and just in general, I mean, people who have their faith in their political leaders and corporate leaders absolutely crushed are going to be despondent, sad, angry, frustrated. Those are all emotional wounds that need to be healed. So if people don't know about emotional healing, they need to get trained up in emotional healing, because there's going to be a lot of emotional damage coming our way. And if we don't handle it well, and if we don't point people in the right direction, and if we're not able to help them deal with the emotional trauma, we are going to have a mess on our hands.
I agree. I definitely agree. And I think that, like what Michael was saying, I think that what we're going to start to do as things start to come into order, because I believe that we're going to see so many people, because of these wounds, because of these hurts, they are going to be acting crazy. They're going to be despondent. They are going to be, they're going to be hit with also sicknesses, and they're going to be hit with all these things where the church is really going to have to rise up as it happened, in the book of Acts, where, we're going to be able to love, and through that love, that stuff is going to get shattered.
Yep. I want to tell you about a dream that I had.
We love your dreams.
Yeah, this is an interesting dream. I've been waiting for this dream to come to pass, and I haven't seen it come to pass yet. This was one of the earliest dreams that I had back in 2009, I think. I was still living up in Washington, and in the dream, there were perplexing things going on in society. People were just lost. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know which end was up. They were perplexed about what was happening in society. And I was on a panel with Patricia King and Stacey Campbell. And the three of us were answering questions from people who didn't understand what was happening in the world. And I knew that the people were going to be turning to us, prophetic leaders in the church, to help people understand the times and seasons that we're living in and what was going on. And we had to have the answers for them because nobody else had them. And we got them from the Lord. The Lord was giving us the answers that they needed to hear. So I think we're going to see that time come relatively quickly where the world is going to be perplexed and we have to be the ones who have the answers, and not the know-it-all answers, but we have to be able to speak to people the truth. We have to be able to give them God's heart for the situation they're dealing with, without judgment, without condescension. We have to be loving and compassionate toward them.
Absolutely. And I think that when God starts to heal our hearts so that we start to know who we are, I think that's why it's been so important about identity. I think that's why God has really been just hitting so hard people's identity, because when you know who you are without question, who you are as son, as daughter, then you are able to minister from a higher perspective, because you're not dealing with your flesh, you're dealing with with using what the Father has. I see lots of shaking of heads. I thought Michael was going to chime right in. I gave him such a nice door to open up to.
Well, Dave's kind of on a roll.
I know he is.
I don't want to hog all the airtime, though, if you have something to say.
Oh, is he talking? Michael, you talking? I guess not.
Well, I was just going to say this, that, you had mentioned, Lisa, that we get healed. And, the old expression is that hurt people hurt people. And healed people heal people. And as long as we're dealing with our own hurts, we're not going to be ready for the onslaught that's about to come. And if we get ours healed, we'll be in a position to heal. And so not only do we have to know about emotional healing for those that are going to be coming to us, but some of us need to know about emotional healing for ourselves. And we need to know how to appropriate it for ourselves. And let me just say this, I reposted a graphic today on Instagram and on Facebook and on Twitter that showed a picture of somebody's leg with like a ball and chain attached to the leg. And the caption said something to the effect that when you don't forgive, you're keeping yourself in bondage. And your unforgiveness is binding you and keeping you bound. And the first step to being healed is learning how to forgive. You don't have the right to be offended. Offenses come in life, they just come. And the offense is not the sin. It's the unforgiveness that's the sin. And, Jesus talked an awful lot about forgiveness. He talked about that, the famous text that Brother Hagin used, that everybody thinks Brother Hagin wrote, but he didn't. But Mark 11:23 and 24. And then when you get down to verse 25, he says, and when you stand praying, forgive. Because if you don't forgive, neither will your Father in heaven forgive you. You know, Jesus, when they said, Lord, teach us how to pray, as he started with our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, he got down to, and forgive those. And so forgiveness is a big thing with God. And the first step to getting healed of your hurts is forgiving those that hurt you. And you don't have to do it to their face. You don't have to be with them to forgive them. And you can make a quality decision wherever you are. And you can just be alone in your prayer closet, be alone with God, and say, I don't feel like forgiving. Forgiving is not an emotional thing. The emotions come after the forgiveness. But you start as an act of your will. And you release that person, you release whatever it is that they've done, whether that be a parent that wronged you, whether that be somebody that abused you, whether it be somebody that dragged your name through the mud, somebody that lied about you. We all have been done wrong one way or another in life, but we can't harbor unforgiveness. As long as we do, we have hurt. And we have that unforgiveness is a cancer inside of us that just festers. And it keeps us from being able to minister effectively to those that are coming. And so I would just speak to anybody who's watching tonight. We've all been hurt. We've all had hurts. We've all had people that have done us wrong. We've had people that have lied about us. But it starts with us. And we can't hold on to unforgiveness. You're exactly right, Patricia. It opens the door to the enemy. And so we need to close that door. And so I would just encourage you, even now while we're doing this, you can take a moment and just say, Father, as an act of my will, I release so-and-so from whatever it is that they've done, whether it's mama, whether it's daddy, whether it's a former spouse, whether it's a child, whether it's a former employer, a current employer, whether it's your current spouse. It could be a former church leader, a former pastor that was controlling and hurt you. It could be any number of people. As an act of your will, just release them right now to Daddy. Release them and say, I release them. I forgive them as an act of my will. I forgive them for what they've done to me. I will not hold evil against them. I will not harbor unforgiveness in my heart. Just release it and let it go. And let the peace of God come in and soothe you. And let his spirit envelop your spirit and rise up big within you. Let Daddy wrap his arms of love around you and heal that hurt. Let him love you and heal you from the inside out. I just feel that there's waves of love from Daddy going right now. I release waves of love and compassion right through the airwaves, right through social media, wherever this ends up, whoever watches this later, there's waves of Daddy's love being released right now. And as you forgive and you release that unforgiveness, love and healing is coming to your heart. And now once you're healed, you'll be able to minister that healing and minister love to those that are coming, because they're coming. And we've got to be free, because healed people will heal people.
Come on. That'll preach. That'll preach. So, and there's also a book. There's somebody who wrote a book. Let me see. I think his name is Praying Medic. He wrote a book, Emotional Healing Made Simple, which is really easy. It's what I use. It's what I use when I minister to people. And it's just about taking those memories, because sometimes, like Michael was saying, we don't have to forgive the person face to face. We can just do it in our quiet time. But sometimes it's not even the person. There are still memories that are attached to the hurt. And sometimes you have to go back into the memories, and you got to get those things healed up. And that's what that book is that David Joseph, aka Praying Medic, wrote. And it's simple.
It is simple. Are you? She's frozen again. I'm probably talking over her.
Every single person's. It should be in every briefcase, every pocketbook, every car. because as we're going to encounter people who have been betrayed and have been hurt by the things that they are about to find out, I think it's going to be like it's going to be like Gideon's Bible. It's just going to have to be in every single place that you go to.
The cool thing about that book is you don't need, I mean, you read the book in 15 minutes and then do the prayer process, get yourself healed of your junk, and then you're like feeling like a new person. And once you go through it once or twice, it's so easy to do. You don't really need the instruction book afterward. It just becomes a simple, it's a 1, 2, 3 step process. I love that book. I send people links to that book all the time on Twitter. People who are dealing with anger and getting ready to get divorced, and they've got trauma from their childhood, from their parents. I probably give away as many copies of the book as I sell. If anybody wants a free copy, send me a message. I'll send you a link to it. You can download it for free. Simple process. You can use it on yourself. You can show it to other people and they can do it themselves. You don't need someone else to help you do it. Jesus loves to heal people of emotional trauma. I have never seen anyone who was not healed of emotional trauma if they were willing to go through this process. It works 100% of the time. Now, there are different levels of emotional trauma, as we know, and severe emotional trauma requires a lot more work. But most of the people who have, the kind of the generic everyday emotional trauma from broken relationships and abuse, it's relatively straightforward and easy to heal. And it gives you a new lease on life when you go through that process. And then you can do it for other people. So I would strongly recommend. I'm preaching to the choir because I know everybody who's listening to this is probably familiar with it by now. So, but it is a good process.
It's a great process. And I think that everything that's coming because of what's coming, we need to do a couple things, and that's to pray, and to pray.
Yep. Oh gosh. The forces of evil are so pissed off right now. The demons are manifesting in Washington, D.C.
Oh, big time.
And they have a lot of plans to try to hurt the good people that are trying to restore righteousness to the people, to our country and to the world. So this is a really good time to be in prayer and intercession.
Absolutely. And I think that's the whole thing, is that is what Touch by Prayer has been about. Touch by Prayer has been a place where you can hear stories, you can hear testimonies, you get to listen and meet incredible and amazing people. But most importantly, you see how prayer can change everything. Because it's through my prayers, before I even knew what intercession was, it was through my prayers that I didn't understand. It was through my prayers that I believe launched something like this and brought you amazing people into my life. And I do mean amazing. You guys have blessed me in so many ways, just by encouraging me, just speaking into my life, telling me to keep going, just even doing a shout out when you see my name on your Periscope. It just brings a smile to my face. And it's just to know that we have family. Oh, I forgot to I have a barrel full of monkeys and I meant to bring it. I actually got a barrel full of monkeys and I have it like in my bedroom to remind myself that we all go up together.
Sure you do.
I know, I really do. And I can't believe I forgot. I just remembered it now. I went, oh, monkey. I forgot my barrel full of monkeys. But I do. And I have it in my bedroom.
We all go up together.
We do. So, and I thank you guys so much for hanging in, Michael, for hanging in for the whole 2 hours and 20 minutes, although it's not as long as our last conversation, which was 3 hours and 9. And Dave knows better. Dave's like, all right, I gotta go, but I gotta go. And so I sit there with my clock and I'm like, all right, Dave really has to go. But then there are some times that Dave is like, all right, I'm gonna be with Lisa. All right, it's gonna be a little bit longer.
Yeah, well, Lila's texting me.
Oh, is she? Yeah, well,
Yeah.
she's the other one.
Yeah. I'm going to go join Denise for a bowl of ice cream before I go to bed.
There you go.
I have to get up and go take care of some grand jury matters tomorrow.
Well, God bless you, Dave. God bless you for all that you're doing, for all your shows. Keep Dave in prayers. Definitely go to prayingmedic.com. Check out his stuff. There's a Patreon if you guys want to support him, because what he does, it takes time. So if you guys have been blessed by what he's been doing, put a little money behind the blessing and you will be blessed. Just saying. Right?
Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate the plug.
Absolutely.
And Denise and I love supporting our friends. I'm supporting a whole bunch of creators on Patreon, writers and broadcasters and people that are getting out the news. And I love supporting them financially. So what comes around goes around. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, Michael, Dave, thank you so much for being a part of the 200th episode. My goodness gracious. 20. I only saw the 10. But thank you for being on 20 to the 200 times 200 more episodes. Amen to that. So, but I thank you guys for everything that you've done. And thank you for your support.
Awesome. Glad to do
you guys,
it. Love you. Love you. Love you.
Love you. Love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning into Touched by Prayer. Thank you for letting me come into your home. Thank you for letting me speak into your life. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for encouraging me. It's because of you that we've hit 200. So have a blessed evening. Just remember to go out and touch someone. God bless.
Good night.